I don't want to go off and be all crazy today. It's early. So I'm going to be cool, right? But I want to start out by saying this. Look, man, I'm proud of y'all. I really am. Give yourselves a round of applause. And it's not just lip service. I ain't just saying this just for the heck of it. Because you guys decided to be here, you could have stayed at home. You guys decided to be the bold ones of the generation when you could have been sitting around making excuses why you couldn't be here, why you shouldn't be here. I know a lot of y'all, people probably didn't want you to be here. You're going to get a lot of crap when you get back. I feel you. I received that. They ain't got no power over you. But what I want to do right now is something that I've been thinking about for the last couple of days, and I really feel passionate about us connecting and uniting. So I want everybody to stand up. It's like you in church. I know y'all been to church. Stand up. And I want you to lock hands with the person next to you. Even if you don't like them. You're going to like them today. Lock hands. And I want everybody to close your eyes. And I want you to imagine that there's energy that's starting at the left end of the room and moving all the way across. And I want you to envision that you holding the person's hand next to you, you are sharing that same energy. That power that you feel, whether it's hurt, whether it's glory, I want you to share that with the person next to you. And I'm going to ask God to do this for us, right? I want God to eliminate all the doubt that we have. I want God to eliminate procrastination, eliminate the feeling of not being that you belong, eliminate division. God, you have the power to do all things. Eliminate it right now. And we're all touching hands in agreement. But God, when you take it from us, take those negative things that we don't need, that's not prospering us, that's not gearing us for the future. When you take it away, I want you to reinvigorate us with something new. Give us power. Put in us unity. Put in us the spirit of change, the spirit of leadership, the spirit of feeling and knowing that you belong. Knowing that the purposes of God and the purposes of things that are great in this country belong to us just as well as anybody else. And I want you to receive that. I want you to receive that. Y'all can break hands and take a seat. I personally believe that when we unite, that's when we have power. And it's not just words, it's an actual unity that we feel, that we internalize. So I'm gonna tell the story real quick about how I became a conservative. Who knows my story? If you know my story, raise your hand. Oh, okay. So some of y'all up on the game, rest of y'all sleeping behind the wheel. No, I'm totally kidding. But my story of becoming a conservative, right? Grew up Democrat, family Democrat. And I'm not saying it in a negative way. I'm saying it in a sense of letting you guys know where I come from, right? My voting history, where my thoughts were. What changed for me is when I went to college. When I went to high school, I was at Dunbar High School. Anybody know what Paul Laurence Dunbar High School is in Fort Worth, Texas? All black school, named after a famous black poet, Paul Laurence Dunbar. Had some struggles. Everything that I knew, everything I grew up learning was all from the African-American perspective. Afrocentric is what I call it. We had a lot of problems at our school. We had some good. We had 9 D1 athletes that go to college from our school on one football team. Our basketball team, our coach is the most winningest basketball coach in history in high school. Nobody has won more than Coach Hughes. So we had some good and bad. We also had dudes pulling guns on each other in the parking lot, gang banging, selling drugs, shooting dice in the bathroom. People coming off the street into the school fighting. So we had some good and bad, but this is my perspective growing up. I get to college. I had a full scholarship, so I was an All-American football player. I get to college, and things begin to change for me. I'd never been around white people. To be honest, I've never been around a bunch of white people. Only been around black people. And when I was growing up, you had a few rules. about being around white folks. You can't bring no white girl home when I was growing up. Y'all who feel me? You grew up like that? Raise your hand if you grew up like that. I'm not saying it's great, but I'm speaking the truth. You ain't do that. And white folks ain't really messing with you like that. That's what I was taught. White folks ain't messing with you like that. Don't get it twisted. They gonna turn on you. They don't never want you to be as good as they're doing. They're never gonna hook you up with a job. The cops don't love you. Ain't no love for you. And they'll gun you down for no reason because you're black. That's how I grew up. Went to college and I started to be exposed to something different. And I say, dang, you know what? I'm around all these white people all day, and ain't now one of them really came after me. Ain't now one of them really called me the N-word. Now I know they know they don't want to do that, but reality has shown me that it's different. And then I started to think like, all that selling drugs and all that stuff, that's not normal. Not your daddy not at home, that's not normal. That became something that blew up in my mind. And one thing that people don't know about me is that when I went to college, I used to have gold teeth in my mouth. I had white gold, 6-piece, bottom. Who from Dallas? Anybody from Dallas in here? Y'all, who know what Big T is? Big T Plaza. Y'all ain't from Dallas. Y'all must live in the suburbs. Y'all ain't from Dallas. But anyway, so I had gold teeth sagging my pants, man. I used to have a terrible attitude, listen to rap music all day. And for me, it affected me in a negative way. For some of y'all may can just brush it off. But for me, I internalized that. I got Young Savage tattooed across my stomach. I got my hood tattooed on my forearms. But I wasn't even really raised like that. You know what I'm saying? But I internalized that. Going to college changed a lot of that. And the biggest thing that I feel like the changing mechanism for me happened when I got saved. I mean, come on, let's keep it 100. I was doing all kind of stuff when I was in college. And when things didn't work out for me, y'all know where you're gonna go. I was raised to go to church. We were in the church wasn't in us though. But I knew where to go, and I said, man, I need to figure God out, man. I need to figure out, God, are you real? I need to evaluate and eliminate. I was gonna eliminate God. Like, let me check this out, and if it ain't nothing, man, I ain't going to God, man, God ain't real. Went to church, I got baptized in Jesus' name, and I got filled with the Holy Spirit. And that changed me, man. I mean, instantaneously, I threw away all my rap music. I threw it all away. Instantaneously, I stopped cussing. And this ain't no power of my own. God did that for me. I stopped cussing. My attitude changed. My perception on race relations changed, right? I started to see people the way God sees us. I started to see us as all being children of God, not bound by color, not bound by ethnicity, background, where you came from, where you're going. It did not matter. God put it in me to love people equally. And that began to send me on a path of success. That I tried out for the NFL. I did make it. I was a beast. Somebody in here used to watch me. They said I was a beast. They would verify that. I was good at sports, and I had a dream that I was going to play in the NFL. And I thought God was going to do it for me, right? I was mad at God when it didn't happen, but I thought God was going to do that for me. But then I had to be a man, right? I didn't want to keep pursuing something that wasn't yielding results. And that's something that I would deliver to you guys as a message that I heard from a very successful man who happened to be white, millionaire, private jets, everything. He decided to come and mentor me, and he told me that you can pursue a goal that you have with all you have, and at the point in which it's not yielding results, you need to put an X on the calendar. You have to transition to something else. You can't keep pursuing a dead end because you want to do it. You got to be open to doing what God wants you to do. So the X came for football. NFL draft in 2010, I didn't get drafted, had a draft party, my family was there, I was hurt. But God had another plan for me. And that plan included me to open up my mind to the police department. So I needed a job, I applied for everything in the city of Tucson at the time, and then finally I got a phone call from the police department. And that phone call came in a very awkward way. So I'm gonna tell you how that happened. So at the time I had a son, And his mom and I had a phone call conversation, and we were kind of arguing about something. I think it was an engagement ring or something crazy. We arguing, and the next morning, they called me on the phone. Mr. Tatum, this is the Tucson Police Department. And I'm like, she done called the police on me. She's trying to send her brother to jail over a phone call. And then they say, hey, you apply for the job. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we can do that. We can talk now. So, but I didn't know nothing about being a police officer. I only heard negative stuff, you know what I'm saying? So I said, look, I need to do a ride along. I need to see what this is all about because I got bills to pay. I got a son to provide for. I ain't got time to be worried about all that bull crap that people talking. I need this opportunity. And so I did a ride along, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind. For the first time in my life, I saw a hero in Officer Sean Payne. I saw a hero. I used to think these NFL players, and no discredit them, no discredit to them, because they work hard, they're very talented, God-given ability. Some of them are great people, some of them are not, just like anything else in the world. But when I saw Sean, I was like, this dude is like a superhero. We literally went from changing a flat tire on the side of the road, an elderly lady, and I was like, oh, this is kind of boring. And then right after that, we got an emergency tone call where a guy was trying to commit suicide. He was actively cutting his wrist, is the call that came out on the radio. We jump in the car. I cannot confirm or deny if I've ever gone 80 miles per hour on a private street. But we did when I was riding with Sean Payne. And we were going about 80, 85 down the road, flying. And people don't know how to move over. They panicking, stopping in the middle of the road. We almost died about 3 times. We get to the location, and my heart is racing. I'm like, I'm scared. You know, I'm scared. He ain't scared. I'm scared. I ain't gonna even lie. I came from the hood and I was scared. You know what I'm saying? And we get out, we run to the apartment complex, and I was able to trail them. We get to the unit, they kick the door in. And I'm standing off to the side, and once they go in, I was able to look around the corner. The dude was literally, there were some little kids laying on the floor, and then he was at a chair, and I saw him back there trying to cut his wrist. And Sean Payne saved his life. We get back in the car. He was asking me about my family before we got on that call. And I remember getting back in the car, and I'm like, and he like, hey, Brandon, what were you saying about your family? And I'm like, what family? What family? I don't even know what you're talking about right now. You see what just happened right here? And he was like, and you know, I'm up to the point where I'm just like, how did he do all this? I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm still having the jitters. He just let it go. And he said, man, I do this every day. And I'm like, bro, you do this every day? All day? He go, yeah, that's what I do for a living, man. This is what I do all day. This ain't nothing to me. And I'm like, bro, I gotta do this for a living. I have to do this. I think God's mission for me is to be this guy, right? And so I joined the police department, and I did everything on the police department. I was on a SWAT team. I was a field training officer, which trained new officers, general instructor. I taught at the academy. I was a spokesperson for the police department, believe it or not. And the funny thing is, our police department had like 8 black people on it. Our police department, majority white and Hispanic, and I was the first of the youngest spokespersons to ever be speaking on behalf of the police department, which was a blessing. And that opened my eyes up to more things about politics and stuff like that, because I was still going hard for Obama. Obama was my boy. You wouldn't tell me nothing about Obama. You know, I said on my Facebook, y'all go back and look at it a long time ago. I said, Obama go down in history as the greatest president. And oh, was I wrong. That's one thing I was wrong about in my life. That's probably the only thing. That's my opinion. Hey, I'm not presenting it on behalf of anything else. That's my opinion. But I would go hard for Obama, arguing every day. Boom, 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 boom. And then Obama started trashing the police department. He started making statements which he didn't have any knowledge of that negatively impacted me on my job. I saw brothers used to come after us after Obama was talking about Michael Brown, what he was talking about when a professor went to his house, and then I guess the neighbors thought he was breaking in his house. He said the police acted stupidly, and when you look at the totality of what happened, they were just doing their job. It was no malice involved. But he didn't know that. He didn't care, never corrected it. Michael Brown, they determined it was a justified shooting. He still railed against the police, and I could not accept that. I made up in my mind after serving my community and putting my life on the line for people that I would never honestly know. Being willing to die and sacrifice everything my future held, my family, everything, for other people, And this dude is going to come out and trash what we do on a day-to-day basis. I made up in my mind, man, I will never support anybody that cannot support men and women that wear the uniform. And so that opened my eyes. I said, you know what? They tripping over here. They tripping. The person I once loved, I ain't feeling him no more. And then all the rest of them were piggybacking off of what he said. And I said, man, these people are fake. I said, let me look at what the other side have to offer. I never looked at a Republican candidate in my life. I thought they were racist white people. That's where I grew up. Republicans, racist white people, Democrats were for the black people. They ain't no proof or nothing. That's what I felt. And so I looked at the Republican ticket and I saw Ben Carson. I say, Ben Carson go hard. He has the mannerisms. He have, the integrity. The dude is probably one of the greatest men of any race in history. The things that he's been able to accomplish is absolutely, just amazing. And then his story of coming from, I call it humble beginnings, right? Mama didn't know how to read. He had an attitude problem similar to myself growing up. But look what he's done with his future. Not making excuses, not letting people hold him down and losing all this stuff. Man, that man went out and got it. And so I said, man, I can vote for him for president. Conservative values. I believe in God. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in lowering them taxes. When I got my first check, I said, oh, no. Y'all said I was making $22 an hour. Y'all taking a third of my check. Where is it going? And then I realized this, and I go back to this. Everybody I arrested was on government assistance. I say they had the EBT cards, and I'm not dissing them, but I'm like, bro, you out here smoking drugs. You out here misusing abilities. You are an able-bodied man, and you out here doing this stuff on the corner, and my tax dollars are paying for you, and their tax dollars are paying for the service. Let me make sure I got enough time on here. And you expect me to pay all my money for people that's doing that? Y'all better do something different. They better do something different with my money. So those are things I believe in. Honestly, I do not believe in, I believe this. This is my principle. I know people are going to disagree with me. I love you anyway. I believe life starts at conception. It don't start at perception. And we all make mistakes, right? We all make mistakes. I ain't judging people. If you didn't have one, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying that this is what I believe is the truth. As a man of God, this is what I believe is true. Whether or not people do it or not, it doesn't change whether the fact is that you shouldn't be doing that. And if you did it, you got to repent. Don't do it again. God still love you, and God will still deliver you or whatever you need. But those are things that I believed in. And I looked at one side and I'm like, bro, y'all against everything. I'm reading off this thing. How can I come before God and say, God, I really trust in you? Faith is not just a word, it's an action. So how do I have faith in you, but I'm supporting all of these things that are against you? Historically against you. And so that opened my eyes. And then I said, you know what, I'm gonna go with that. But then, he dropped out and endorsed Trump. And I was like, wait a minute, Ben. I thought Trump was playing. Big balling billionaire coming on the stage, embarrassing everybody and going back to the penthouse. But he didn't. He hung in there. I went to his rally and I said, man, he owns something. He the only one talking about the border that I seen with my own eyes affect my community that I grew up in. We used to have this mall called Town Center, all black. It's called Fiesta today. And hey, that ain't no knock on the people coming in, because they coming in and working. They coming in and doing their work. But what I'm saying is, if you ain't supposed to be here, you screwing people out of opportunities. Now, if you're supposed to be here and they lazy to work, then go get it. But what I'm saying is that a lot of these people that we saw, perceivably, are people that, how they get here all of a sudden? All of a sudden they come in and rechange the community and all that stuff, and we taking the back burner. Now we homeless. Y'all ever go to LA, who homeless? The brothers out there homeless. And LA ain't even majority black, but the homeless population is almost majority black. So that really got me into believing in Trump and the mission. I'll say this, man. I don't respect no man higher than I respect Christ. I don't expect that man. I don't expect that man to do nothing but do his doggone job. I don't need you to be my savior. I don't need you to be to structure my moral direction, I don't care. Go in there and do your doggone job. If you're supposed to cut taxes, go cut them taxes. I don't care how you do it, go cut my taxes. That's what I put you in there for. If I wanted you to be my counselor or whatever, I don't even know how I would put somebody in there because you know I got separation church from state. But if I wanted you to be somebody more than the president, I just go to my pastor and we can have a conversation. But I know, you know, that's not my thing. But what I'm gonna do is I just want to throw that out there. I want to give somebody that opportunity to hear my story. Now I'll say this and then I'm gonna open it for Q&A because I love Q&A the most. What I want to say is that we understand the problems that are in our community. I don't need to get up here and talk about them. Y'all understand them, some more than others. Some have unique problems. We don't all have the same problems in our community. But we all know the problems. Let's get to the solutions. Now, solutions are very easy. This is easy. It don't take me 2 seconds to give you the solution to the problem. And if you do it, we will change our communities forever. The solution is you. And you, and you, and you, and you. It starts with the individual. What you do in making yourself a better person will matriculate down to everybody else in the community, all the generations to come after you. The power is in your hands. Don't rely on wait for everybody else to do something. You have the power to change you. You have authority to change you. And when you change, everybody else will follow suit. You guys are leaders. You're not followers. You didn't come here to go home and listen to what everybody else gonna tell you. You came here to go home to lead. Don't forget that. I'm gonna give you a few principles and then I'm gonna get up off here. I always put God first. Believe in God. That's my opinion. You don't have to take it, whatever. My opinion is believe in God. It works for me and it works for everybody else in the Bible. So believe in God first. Believe in yourself. You got to believe in yourself. It's very easy to look to other things, but if you don't believe in yourself, man, you're not going anywhere. Find it to believe in yourself. If you had to look in the mirror and say, I believe in you, you're looking across to yourself. I believe in you every morning. No matter when you got them boogers in your eyes, I still believe in you. You should have integrity. Integrity means doing the right thing when nobody's watching. God is my witness, y'all. I'm telling you. The only reason I'm on this stage and the only reason that I've had success is because I try to do the little things right. When nobody's watching, I try to do the little things right. Another thing is to respect everybody. Do your best. You're not going to be perfect, but do your best to respect everybody. I had a young lady come to me last night at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and gave me constructive criticism. She said, hey, she really said, I don't really like you. And that I don't agree with some of your messaging. Did I brush her off and be like, oh, girl, you better shut up. I know what I'm doing. I respect her. I respect people's opinions. I respect everybody. That's what you have to do. Do your best to respect them. Some people gonna get out of line and you might have to put them in their place, all right? But do your best to respect everybody. Dream big. You gotta dream big. And when I say dream big, think about that and then dream bigger. When I was a cop, I'd fly on an airplane to go see my son. I used to dream and envision me being a speaker. No path to being a speaker. I was a cop. You know what I'm saying? I had no money, going check to check. I didn't know how I was gonna speak nowhere. Never made a video or nothing. This is before ever making videos. I said, I just envisioned. I'm on a plane riding and I say, I'm going to so-and-so and I'm speaking in front of a crowd of 20,000 people. This is what I'm gonna talk about. This is what envision. Big goals. I wanna be a millionaire. Matter of fact, I wanna be a billionaire, right? I wanna have enough money that I can pay for all of y'all to do something, right? God blessed me to bless a young brother the other day to take him to dinner. I remember when I was broke, I ain't had nothing. And then now I'm able to bless another person to pay for their dinner at the Trump. You know what I'm saying? That bill was kind of high. But God is good, so it ain't that big of a deal to me. You feel me? But you got to dream big. You got to dream big. And then you got to bust your tail and work hard. If you do those things I just said, and you might forget them if you didn't write them down. You go back and look at the video, they're going to have it ready for you. Look, do those things, and I promise you, you will be successful. And success isn't just money. Success could be good, being a good father. So your success could project the next generation. You may struggle, you may go through hard times, but the people after you, your children, people you mentor, they'll see the benefit of what you worked hard for. Our ancestors used to get beat. We couldn't vote back in the day. Y'all know, y'all read the books. Look at the stuff we've been through. They didn't cower. They didn't walk around with their head down. I don't know, man, the white man got the best of me. They said, oh, what? You got to sit in the back of the bus. God told me that I'm equal to you. Just because you color your skin on me, okay, we won't ride your bus then. Oh, they were sitting in the front. What did Martin Luther King do? Million Man March. That brother had a suit and tie on. He ain't sagging his pants walking around like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? He was a man. He stood up like a man. They did all that. People spit in their face. They went through all that for us. Now, what are we going to do for the next generation? Y'all already off to a good start. You came here, you could have been sitting at the crib, but you're off to a good start. Do those principles. I probably have a few questions, but God bless you guys. Thank you for listening. If you have a question, here's the time to ask it. I got to run after this, so I won't be able to talk to anybody because I got a radio show in Arizona to do. So we'll start the Q&A. Let's see. We go right here in the front.
Okay, so my question is, when a cop does act wrongly, like with the Amber Dyer situation,
okay,
what is the appropriate official response
okay,
to when they were in the wrong?
Okay, so let me explain this Geiger case real quick. She was a police officer, but she wasn't on duty. So I don't consider that to be a police action, right? She's not even held accountable to the same laws and regulations as she would if she was on duty. She just happened to be going home with her uniform on. I believe that she made a mistake, right? She set herself up on the wrong floor. She went to the wrong apartment. It was a fatal mistake. It was tragic. She deserved to go to jail. I mean, that's just what it is. Even if it's an accident, you still kill somebody. They still dead. They ain't never coming back. You deserve to go to jail. But I think we need to differentiate between whether this was a police action or there was a police officer off duty literally going to the wrong place and thinking somebody burglarized her home. I don't think this is a police training issue. Police will always be trained to shoot center mass. Now, I think she accidentally hit him in the chest, in the heart, because police shootings is very difficult. When you're under stress, you don't shoot well, and people don't shoot well anyway. And she shot twice and missed him once, and then one actually hit him in the heart, which it's almost impossible to do that, especially with one hand, being as little as she is, as frail as she is. That's almost an impossible shot. So I don't think it's a police training issue. I think it's a person who made a mistake, and she have to pay the consequences for it, and that's it. Because, and I'll say this real quick, I think that what we can do to make things better, because police do F up. They do. I mean, if you think they ain't messing up, you lying. I've been responsible for firing a couple of them. So, but we need to differentiate between, hey, is this a bad act by police, or this is an act that I just don't like? This is an act that I don't understand. Michael Brown is something that happened that's ugly, it's nasty, it's difficult to internalize. Tamir Rice was difficult to internalize. And we have to determine, is this an act by law, or this is something that somebody did wrong? You know, what I say that the gentleman's name was, I forget his name. He was in Chicago, he got shot. Wrongful shooting, got shot him 12 times. That's wrong. Michael Brown was justified. And I'm gonna clear this up real quick, because there's a difference between killing and shooting, right? The justification isn't in the death. The justification is in the use of force. And unfortunately, it can subsequently lead to somebody dying. So real quick analogy. You shoot somebody, the judge is saying, were you capable or was it lawful that you shot that person? Not that they died, but that you shot them. If it was lawful that you shot them, everything that happens after that is a part of what happens with justification. Just like if somebody come to your house, they kick in your door, the police come kicking your door, and they get, 100 bales of drugs. None of that is gonna be presented in court. It will all be suppressed, you would walk, because they didn't have a search warrant. So you have to have justification for your action, and everything subsequent to that becomes legitimized through the justification of the action. So when you look at these shootings, you say, separate the death. Say, was he justified in shooting, and then we go from there. Another question. You try to go fast. White shirt in the back to the left, you see him with the trunk. Okay. I think you can yell, I can hear you.
Come to the microphone.
Oh, you can come to the mic? Dang, I wish I left more time for questions.
Okay,
I'm gonna go fast.
I'm not trying to offend anyone, but I have a question. So,
I'm already offended.
Okay, so I hear a lot of conservatives say that leftists don't know how to run a city. Why is it that people like Alex Jones live in Austin, Texas, Candace Owens, New York City, Ann Coulter, Palm Beach, Larry Elder and Ben Shapiro, Los Angeles, Ted Cruz, Houston, Greg Abbott, Austin, Mitch McConnell, Louisville? If leftists don't know how to run a city, why don't they go to rural areas like Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama?
Why the leftists or the conservatives that you're talking about?
Well, conservatives. Why don't they go live in rural Republican areas like Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, West Virginia?
Well, I get what you're saying, and I think it makes sense to a certain degree. I guarantee you that Larry Elder, Ben Shapiro don't live in the hood. I'm just throwing it out there. I guarantee you Candace Owens don't live in the hood. But what I'm saying is that there are different elements to every community, whether it's Republican ran or Democratic ran. They have good parts of the community, they have bad parts of the community. I think what we're illustrating is that a lot of the minority communities are completely run by Democrats historically, and they're terrible. And they're not just terrible, they're uniquely terrible, right? There's no white Chicago. I'm just keeping it 100. There's no white Chicago. I ain't never looked on the news 82 white people have shot each other, and the gang violence that go on in Watts and other situations like that. Name a country artist that got gunned down like Nipsey Hussle. It don't happen. It's not happening at the rate that we're having. I'm gonna say these stats real quick. I think that what we're seeing is that we're evaluating what's happening in the black community, right? And I think that's where the focus is at. So they could go live there. Some of them may have a house there. You may not know. They may have one residence there. But I think our focus should be on what are they doing for the minority community? Who are the people that are in office, and how do we change those things? And I think that if Candace and them don't run for office, they can't change nothing no matter where they live. I'm just keeping it 100. You could talk all you want, which I think they're doing a great job at doing, but you're going to have to actually run for office to change some of these policies. Great question. How much time I got? I'm going to go to this side right after. Real quick.
So my question is, I think a lot of times things are implicitly said and not explicitly said. So you were talking about the people you arrested that were on food stamps and things of that nature. So statistically, Caucasians, is more Caucasians on public assistance than there is African American people. We know that, right? Yeah. Okay, so with that being said, from a conservative perspective, is it okay to pay into a system where people truly and dearly do need help? Is it okay to help the down single mother who really needs to provide food for her family? She's an LPN making $12 an hour, rent and the cost of living is taking up most of that, and she has 2 children. Is it okay to play into a system that helps those people versus helping the people that misuse and abuse that system?
Okay, awesome, great question. I think there's 2 ways to look at it, right? I think if you're gonna pay into a system, which we already have in place, that they need to weed out the people who shouldn't be in the system so that we can be more effective and more efficient. Because nowadays you have people who are illegally in this country going and standing in front of a single mom, legal citizen. Because if you come over here with kids and just say you're black and you don't have kids, or anybody that don't have kids, you come over here as an illegal with a kid, they're gonna prioritize helping you over somebody else. And I think we need to weed out that if we're gonna use the system. We can be more effective and efficient. Another opportunity is that I like to just keep my money. Let me decide what I wanna put my money into. And in the sense of saying less government, I wish that we would eliminate that and allow people to step forward. The church needs to step forward. That's what the church is for. And I think that we can look at it in both ways. If we're going to go down that path, we need to be efficient. Don't waste my money on stuff, because I see people doing drugs. I think you should be drug tested. If you are doing illegal drugs, you shouldn't give my money, because I can't have a job if I'm doing illegal drugs and be able to pay taxes. So we should weed that out, man. I love helping people. That's the mission of God, is to help people. And if we develop a system that's efficient, I'm good with that. But we need to rely on the people to help other people, because we do it best. One more. Tell me how much time I got. One more question. Tell me when I have a last question. Okay, last question and then we're done.
This is the last question.
He got it going.
Okay. First, hello, hi.
Okay,
Thanks
let's make it quick. He's trying to run me off stage.
Got you. All right, thanks for chatting. And thanks for sharing your background, which is what leads me to the question. So you mentioned the fact that there are people who are awakened and then people who are awakening. I would put myself on the maybe awakening train. And my question is, you mentioned your background coming from a heavy Democrat and Black, Afrocentric background. So what are kind of some of the resources that you've had maybe used or with your family or friends, or the background that you're coming from, or have you found that maybe you just have to kind of walk away and leave them?
Really cool. Real quick. My father was the biggest important part of my life. to balance out. So my father being in my life was good. Having a male role model is even better in that situation. There's not a lot of help and not a lot of resources in those situations, but find somebody to mentor you if you don't have a father. That's really, really important. Do things right, like don't have children out of wedlock. Make sure you graduate high school, get you a job, J-O-B. If you can't get a job, you ain't gonna be nothing in life. So you do all those things, that will help you individually. Father figure, that will help you individually. There was one more thing, but I gotta bounce. But if you do those things, networking is good. She made a good point about networking. There are things you can do. Do some research on your own. Oh, this was the point I was gonna make. Leave home. Leave. Don't be afraid to go away to go to college. If you have an opportunity, leave. Go away. Get away from everybody that you grew up with. You gotta leave those people, learn something different, and then come back and make it better. I love you guys. Thank you. I'm out. Sorry about that.